Ichabod and now a newly named athletic director at Missouri Western. And Josh was a real big part of our program when we first started. He was one of the main recruits we brought in. We were lucky to get him. He transferred in, and he really he was a great player. He brought in a toughness and a work ethic, and he knew he was going to be very successful at whatever he decided to do. And I'm glad he got involved in athletics, because it's great to have a guy like that involved in our business, and it's great to have him in our conference. It makes our conference even stronger. It'll be tough going against him, but I just wanted to make a public congratulations to Josh. This year's team we're very excited about. We have a lot of returners. Probably the thing I've been most impressed with this group is from our bowl practices through spring ball, through the summer, as far as I could tell, because we're pretty limited in the summer with what we can see them do. Their work ethic and their joy of the game is what impresses me. They have a great passion for the game, a passion for the training aspect of it. They seem to really enjoy each other, and really can't wait to get started in camp. One of the things with us starting a week later than the Division I schools, you kind of feel like you're a little bit behind, because you're reading about all these things on the social media about their camps getting started, and you're kind of like, oh, we're behind them already. But it's just anxious to see our guys come in. We've seen them throughout the summer coming through, and you can just tell that they're anxious to get the season started. Feel like conditioning-wise, this may be one of the top teams we've had as far as physical conditioning goes. And you really have to have that in today's football. We have such a short amount of time to get ready to play. We'll eventually have about 24 practices before we play, 24, 25. And so the guys have made it a year-round commitment. And you see that everywhere, but I've been very, very impressed with this group of players. And it goes across the board, from linemen to skill players, offense, defense, and special teams. Their commitment to the sport and the love of the game. And when you have guys like that, it makes it a lot of fun.
All right, we'll open it up now with questions for players. Again, raise your hand, tell us your media outlet, and then ask your questions of the players.
Rick Peterson Jr. with the Capital Journal. Bob, you guys returned most of your offensive line. I mean, how much of an asset is that to have that kind of rapport with the rest of your line mates?
Oh, it's huge. Past couple of years, we've had freshmen come in and had to throw them in the fire off the bat, which kind of hurts, but we also did pretty well with that. But having everybody come back was amazing.
And, secondly, like Coach mentioned, you guys had some extra time with the mineral water bowl practices. How much does that help you prepare for this year?
Honestly, a lot, because going into that is just a different experience. It's a great time. Love going up there and doing that bowl game. But yeah, getting those extra practices, and other guys aren't doing that. Other teams don't have that opportunity. So obviously, any extra work we can get in, that helps.
And, obviously the one big loss was Michael Miller. What did you kind of learn from him that'll help you or in moving forward?
Me and Mike are pretty close. We were pretty good friends throughout, got pretty close over the few years we played with each other. He helped me a lot. Just texting him, talking to him about because I moved to tackle when he was a tackle. I'm just new to the tackle thing, kind of. So getting to talk to him about my new techniques and all that, and what kind of steps I should be taking, it's great. He's great to have around. We're bringing him to GA too, which is going to help a lot.
Nice. Austin, how would you kind of assess the defensive's overall performance last year? What did you guys do really well, and what kind of improvements are you looking to make this year?
I feel like we're just very physical. We fly around, we make big plays, and we're very aggressive. And with that being said, we got a lot of guys coming back, and a lot of guys that are hungry to get back on the field. This offseason's been huge, and we've had great numbers throughout the summer, and we're just ready to get after it.
And you guys lost Cody Hyman. Kind of the same question with Bob. What kind of things did you learn from him that can maybe help you move forward?
Cody Hyman's a beast. He playing next to him last year. It was an honor. His leadership, his talent. I mean, it just kind of almost rubs off, And it was great to have him around, and he's great.
You guys are always so deep at linebacker, and Derek kind of got his feet wet last year, and Cedric Gonzalez. What are you kind of looking forward to seeing what those guys can do this year?
It's going to be good. We got a great linebacker core coming back. Derek getting quite a bit of play time as well with Cedric. And we're all, like I said before, we're all hungry and we're all ready to get after it. And we got a lot of young guys that have also been here all summer, working their tails off and, ready to back us up whenever we need to step down for a minute. So.
Hey guys, back here. Jonathan Deutsch, WWTV. Coach mentioned physical conditioning. I'm curious about hair conditioning right now. What's been going on with that?
So last season, a few of the guys, me, Austin, Mike Miller, and a couple other guys were growing out the hair together, and those guys seem to fall out. We still got a couple left, but me and him are still stuck with it. So
Mine has fallen.
we gotta enjoy what we have.
Yeah, we decided to grow mine out, I don't know, last year sometime, and it just kind of caught on, and now Derek McGreevy's actually growing his hair out too, getting the flow going, and it's just a matter of being a wild man out there on the field, tearing stuff up, looking the part, I guess. I don't know. We'll cut it after last game.
All right, further questions for players?
Kevin Haskins, Topeka Capital Journal. I guess this one might be more for Craig, I'm sorry, but was there a time when you would have had a barber be part of summer conditioning? Have you kind of grown in that respect in terms of allowing players to be free spirits?
Yeah, that's a great question. Back in the day, one of the things we started out when I was coaching, we never really messed with the hair too much because that seems to be like a Samson thing or whatever. But the earrings, I can't even tell you with kids with earrings now, but at one time it was the jewelry, and you're like, hey, you got to take that out. You can't have it in the building and all those kind of things. But even I remember when I was first started coaching, it was hats. Guys wearing hats into meetings and that, and cell phones, all those things. You were like, hey, you got to leave those in your locker and that. But anymore, it's just a part of them. I don't even know if I recognize if they have earrings or hats on or anything like that. So yeah, probably changing with the times is probably smart. You pick your battles, and if it's something that they feel important about and it makes them more confident, get in that mode to be a player. As a coach, you kind of go along with it.
All right, we'll open it up now for questions for players or coach.
Matt Gasper with KSNT TV. Coach, when you went to the Mineral Water Bowl last year, what was it about this team that allowed you to get that far, and how do you kind of see that momentum carrying into this season?
Yeah, it was their work ethic, and the thing that was neat was when we had those practices and you had a series of practices because you're already warmed up, so it was like having an extra spring ball almost. Their enthusiasm for it. They didn't take it as, oh, here we go again, we're practicing some more. Because those things can drag on also with the amount of time that you have. But their attitude and passion for the game, and even the weight workouts leading up to that were good. And so when they have that kind of energy, I'd say their energy to practice and prepare is really outstanding. And then it just seemed to flow through our spring. When we in January, when you come in, all teams lift and condition and you get ready for spring practice. This group, as a coach, when you walked into the weight room, it was a fun experience. Sometimes you walk into the weight room and a guy's getting chewed out or the energy's not good. You never had that with this group, and a lot of it was with these two sitting here and others. There's pretty good leadership in that mode. And David Troop's our strength and conditioning coach, and you can tell when he's in a good mood, things usually have gone well because he's around them a lot. And he usually had a smile on his face, and that's not always the case. And so when your strength coach is happy, usually that means the guys have worked really hard. And I anticipate, coming into camp and us being able to attack practice really well and not having to slow down at all.
Hey, Craig, typically when a championship program loses a head coach, rivals within the league see a chance for a potential opening. How much different, though, is that with Northwest? We've seen this happen before, and they didn't skip a beat.
Yeah, they certainly have made themselves kind of a monster in Division II. If you look at their record over the last few years, there's been very few close games. With Adam Dorrell leaving, he was an outstanding coach. I would hope some of that offensive power and some of the things they do leaves with them. At least that's a wishful thinking. But there's systems in place. They have outstanding coaches throughout offense and defensively. Coach Wright's going to do a great job. He knows their system, and their defense has been, one of the top defenses in all of football. You look at any level. And so that's going to continue to be a strength of theirs. But you'd hope with some changeover, maybe we play them early, which is nice. So maybe they'll have a little lack of communication in certain spots. But you hope there's a little chink in the armor that you can kind of dig at a little bit. But they're outstanding, and that's the one thing that they've done. They've really forced this conference. I mean, every team's had to get better to compete with them. And if you look at great conferences, you see that the top team kind of leads people to catch up, and that's where we are. And our kids know that. We want to beat them, and to do that, you have to work extra hard because their kids are working hard. And I think our players, particularly our upperclassmen, realize, hey, you win some of those. If you want to compete with Northwest, you have to compete with them in the summer. You have to compete with them, when we hit camp. You have to compete with them in the film room. It's not just how you practice, it's how you do everything. And so they've raised the level of this conference, and we have to try to catch them.
Coach, depth chart wise, what's your situation at quarterback right now, and where do you see that, or how do you see that playing out over camp here?
Yeah, that's kind of, there's going to be a battle at quarterback. Obviously, with Derek McGinnis was a 2-year starter, and he's going to come back and help us coach. But Logan Tweehouse is a young man that played for us some last year, and he's been in our program for 2 years, so he'll be a redshirt sophomore. And he played baseball, so he didn't get a lot of reps with us in the spring, but he's a very intelligent, very sharp quarterback, and we anticipate him being one of the starting quarterbacks. Blake Peterson's another young man that came into the program. He transferred in last year, played receiver for us, a very good athlete. Also did baseball in the spring, but he was able to take part in some of our spring practice and got off to a really good start with that. So those two will be the battle for the starter. I anticipate really at the beginning of the year really playing them both. And at the college level, you can get away with that. The pro level is very difficult. But I think at the college level, it's proven to be successful, and we'll kind of see how it goes from there. But both of them are quality starters, I believe.
We have time for one more question. We'll go to Greg in the back.
Coach, you said it's good catching Northwest early. What's good about that?
Well, I don't know if it's good, but with a new, in filling out the new coach and that, and some of the things that they'll be working through, you hope that you can catch them a little bit. Maybe they're not as prepared as they would have been, week 5, week 6, week 7, as they get that staff together. Because you've had a coach that's been there and led them to 3 national championships and has been in that system for a while. You lose some of that game prep, some of that leadership that Coach Doral has. And so hopefully we can catch them, a little bit behind their curve a little bit. But they're so good. They've got so much depth. The guys they return are just as good as the guys that just graduated. So obviously you're trying to catch a team that's outstanding, and no one has really played them very close, to be honest. But having them early, I think, is a benefit. We get to play them at home and hope to sell out Yager Stadium and have a great game.
All right, thank you very much for your time.
Appreciate it.
We'll take a quick break, and we'll have Pittsburgh State at the podium next.